What's up, guys? All right, welcome to 2019. So this year was a lot of building and a lot of development and talking to people and growth. So Fat Rabbit Network took a lot of hits, but it also made a lot of progress. We signed a ton of contracts. We were signing contracts left and right because people knew the way that I was talking to them that it was going to generate a revenue. So I wanted to kind of go over a few little things, and the idea is that, the direction, the story, and then kind of, the next step, okay? And some of the things that I've seen too, like experiences. So when I first started this story 4 years ago, almost 5 now, I was a bartender and I noticed some trends that were losing money and revenue at restaurants, and then I noticed that it was dead and we weren't making any money as bartenders, and I was like, oh no, I need to fix this. So I started getting into the web industry, and I noticed that people were trying to overcharge me to develop this freaking thing. The rates were like so outrageous. So I decided to go into graphic design. I studied graphic design, and I noticed that I had a trend of learning. I learned graphic design very quickly, and a lot of people, I don't know if you've known, but I've put things on buildings, a lot of displays, a lot of commercial equipment, like all kinds of stuff. And then I got into printing when I started studying that because people kept trying to overcharge me for equipment. And it was always somebody getting greedy. And I was like, how does this make sense? And I remember I was sitting at a Staples one time trying to print off my menus, and I only had a certain margin. And one of my clients was being really cheap. I mean, the guy was like, I got rid of him. Yeah. It was always a fight over like nickels and dimes. And I just was like, okay. So I had to learn about business at the same time of like what's realistic and what's not. And going to somebody stating, look, now you're just getting to the point you want a handout, and like you're expecting somebody to do something for you for free because of why, you know what I mean? When you could be helping me and progressing it, and I could save you more money. And I was noticing things like toxic relationships. But the big one was when I was sitting at this Staples, and I said to myself, why is this print so expensive? It's like 50 cents per sheet. And then they were like, well, it's $1.30 for me to do this, and then $2 more for me to do lamination. I'm like, dude, I got a car payment, and like I'm just trying to do my best here, and like people just did not want to pay. So I had to look into like reasons why. Okay, it was so crazy as a business owner. It was nuts because you got to go to people, and then you're like, then you buy the equipment, and then you kind of understand everything and like how the pricing scale works. But then like you can work deals. So I went out and studied printing. I literally studied these things all the way down to the pigment, down to like everything they could do. I started rebuilding units that were broken. I was going to military auctions, different auctions all over the country, buying commercial grade equipment. I literally bought almost $150,000 worth of equipment. It was nuts. I lost a girlfriend over it. I lost everything on that. And people were so mad. They're like, why'd you do that? You're distracted from your business model. It's like, my business model wanted me to generate $36,000 just to build a basic platform system. And I don't know how to build websites at the time. So I'm like, what am I supposed to do? So I started picking up print jobs, and I started making money off of that, like a lot of money. And then I was like, okay, well, obviously there's a demand, but what is holding these clients back? So I had clients arguing over like nickels and dimes. And then later on I was like, you know what, dude, look, here's the thing. You have 35 to 45 hours worth of labor just in graphics. Then you have this, this, and this. See, the thing was when I started building it and I started saying what the actual bill like fully was, not like, okay, so there was me doing that before, but like I had to literally go to somebody and be like, look, they were like, give me a logo, give me this, and I was like, how much does that usually cost? And they would lie. Oh, it was free. I can get it from this guy. Good, go there. Go there. Eventually, I just said that. I got so sick of it. They're like, I can just go to my liquor rep. Go ahead. Let's see how that goes. And then the next thing you know, everything looks terrible on the side of the building. And I was like, I started thinking about that. And then people started wanting my work because they were like, wow, this is beautiful. We really put a lot of time into it. So everything we were making was making headliners with stuff. I mean, we were literally just generating revenue off the look and the feel of what we were doing. And I knew branding was important. So I said, okay, why don't we take a step from that part of the conversation and look into the marketing? So I had to look into marketing, and I was getting a couple leads from clients that were talking about, I want to generate more revenue. But a lot of people were like, I want to generate revenue for free because I'm cool. And it's like, that's not a business model. And eventually you had to like put your foot down on that one because people wanted you to put your own money into it and invest into them, and they'd give you a percentage. Until the fact of the matter was, when you trusted that person, the person didn't want to pay out because they're like, I didn't agree to that. Oh, if I made a lot of money, I didn't agree to. Yeah, okay, cool. So if you make a lot of money, you don't want to pay out. But if you make a few bucks, you just want to keep me happy so that I'll fall for it again. Yeah, I get it. So I had to like put my foot down on a lot of that. And, a lot of people be wishy-washy on that. Oh, it was a different circumstance. No, there was a lot of opportunities people threw out the door because they just didn't believe in me. And I get it. I get it, because that's how business starts. You have to build a reputation and name. So I started studying into the market gross and the revenue. Okay, so like seeing what the gross and the margin of net, gross and net. And when I was looking into those things, I started studying into how that worked, with a gross being, your overall income, and then your net being the after all. So after you pay out all your bills and stuff like that. But what I'm meaning by that is not just the common sense. I'm talking about how the expenses broke down and how people were initiating it in their heads. So I started noticing owners were going to me about different prices, saying, hey, my price scale was kind of weird, things like this. So this took a long time because I had to learn every format of the market. So I had to be the guy that would go in and learn your glassware. I literally had to contact a ton of suppliers and learn a consistency and get averages from everywhere. See, a lot of people didn't know that I was doing that because I didn't talk about it. A couple of my guys actually begged me to do videos because they wanted me to start talking about these things. So the idea was that when I started talking about these numbers to people, people were coming to me with margins saying, well, my cost is this. And I was like, how much is your cost? And some people were like, hey, my pizza's costing me $5 in the total. And some of my guys were like, what? That's outrageous. And I was like, no, give it to them, because the fact of the matter is that there is a lot of influence on that. Okay, so you have to put in the hours, the box, the information with the sauces. You have to put in your own time, and then you have to do that breakdown. If you look at it that way, you can come up with different margins. So I said, when I was looking into it, I said, wait a minute, well, why don't I look at the printing cost and I cut that cost down? And then I go to you and I'm like, look, let me build your website. Let me build this. Let me build that. Let me build the marketing, and let me make a cut off of all this. So I offered everything in a big haul. And when I started doing that, I noticed more results. I was literally closing every contract I was talking to, because literally I came out and I was telling you, like, I'm going to make your business happen for, 10 to 15,000 versus the idea. And you're going to generate, most of my clients are generating 50, 60 on the average off of that kind of stuff. So, even the ones that are trying to pretend that like they didn't make a lot, you're still generating a revenue. You're making revenue from our SEO, our development, you make money from these things. And people, you have to really catch on that it's a new era. And the internet's important. Some people want to come to you and offer you these deals where they're like, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. We were bringing results. No matter what we did, we never lied. Business for us was never about manipulation or lying. It was always about honesty, keeping true, and going to people, being about realistic things. So I ended up later on going on saying, I'm going to go to China. And I'm going to come out here to do this big thing. And a lot of people left. They were like, no, you're doing too many things. You have too many irons in the fire, was the statement I said. I said, there's no such thing if you have a big furnace. Irons melt in the furnace. That's the thing, if you put it at a hot enough temperature. And they were like, well, no temperature is going to reach that. And I was like, well, my furnace does. And the thing was, people didn't believe that because they didn't see the irons melting down. So, it was because their irons were a different kind of material, I guess they thought, And the thing was that, for me, I never believed in any of that. I believed that you could do anything that you wanted to do as long as you put your heart and your soul into it, which so far is proving to be right. So I started following the big trends, and I started looking at the big guys. And I was like, I want to take these guys on. I want to take Alibaba. I want to take on AliExpress. I want to take on everyone. I want them to bring it. And I started studying this stuff so much to the point that I gave up everything. Lovers, everything. when the moment when your best friend looks at you and just doesn't even want to be your friend anymore, that's the point of sacrifice I had to make. And that's fine. So I have my two, closest friends, and I'm good. And I have another one that's just like right there beside me. So I'm very good. I have very strong friends. The ones that stuck with me, because they're the ones that are going to be there in the final run of it. So, I dealt with a lot over that, but that's beyond that. When I came out and I started looking at this stuff, I started talking to the Chinese directly, and I was like, look, I'm going to sit down with you. I'm going to come up with a new algorithm. I'm going to come up with a whole new system, and I want you to understand what I'm doing. So far, every factory said yes. No questions. No questions. They already knew exactly what I was doing with this direction, because I said there's a lot easier market method if you look at the way that I'm doing, because I can go to people and generate it. So why am I telling this and what this area is? I want to recruit some people. And if you see this kind of thing and you see me, I'm going to be the one that steps into this and goes into the war ring alone if I have to. But if there's people that go with me, it's very good. You can shoot me an email. You can talk to me on the side. I'm not here to run this in a war thing. Like, oh, I'm a part of his trend, and that's not what this was about. But I'll talk to you about business, and I'll talk to you about some direction of things that you can do and be a part of this whole scenario. It's a financial area, so you need to be in the right state of mind. You need sales experience. You need to have that area to talk to people, and you need to have that background if you want to be affiliated with me in any kind of degree, which means you have to be able to financially support yourself. So if you're looking at that growth and you're saying, hey, I'm in the position of growing and I'm in that opportunity, those are the kind of people that should hit me up after this. If not, keep supporting me and following along. There's a lot of opportunities coming for people to make other kinds of money revenue. Now, when I was going to these factories and I was talking to these guys and I sat down with them, right? People were like, why did you do that? I wanted to make cool things. So like these bracelets, right? Imagine you go to a restaurant and you have that experience. You really love the cocktail glass, everything, but you don't really think about where it comes from. Or the designers or the developers, or like even the restaurant owner doesn't have the time to really design something custom for themselves. But what owner doesn't love their brand? My dad owned a towing business for a long time with my grandfather. You know, I mean, they were talking, it's well over 50, 60 years. So, I mean, it's like this long haul, but it was called after us. Dewey Davis Towing, you know. Davis Towing, I mean, it's unreal. When you look at something like that and you say, well, wouldn't you want something that says, like, you? And a lot of people are like, wait a minute, what? And I'm like, branding you, like putting your name on the logo, putting it on these bracelets, putting it on things that are cool. But imagine them coming from a really cool place, okay? Somewhere that's, like, never been done before. So when I started looking at it like that, people were like, holy, wait a minute. And I was like, yeah, dude, I can get it for cheap. So I'll go out to China, and they're like, oh, you can't do that. I don't want to pay those rates. I was like, fine, I'll go to the whole community, and I'll walk on foot because people were still getting cheap. And some people, you know, even when you give them logo, branding, website, this, they're like, oh, give it to me for free. You got to ditch those guys. No. Get away from them. They're not good. They're not really about business. They're just trying to get a deal, and they want to roll. I'm giving a deal. I'm making it so that I can go into people, and I'm like, look, if you really listen to what I'm saying, give me some money for your logo, your website, your product, and those kind of things, and I will make you a business that will make you $100,000. And it is really not that complex. It's really that easy. So I think that concludes a lot of my ranting today. But the direction is to keep moving forward to make it so business owners and anybody going into business can actually do what they need to do. Don't fall for trends. Don't give into the things that people pretend that are real, and really start making decisions for yourself, because there are visionaries like myself that I know that are confident, that get stuck in this position that is just, it's overwhelming because you see so many things you could jump into. I need to go here because I'm running out of money. I need to do this. I need to do that. No, absolutely not. There is a direction, and it takes time. Okay, a lot of businesses take 5 to 10 years, and I was told 5 years was an average of an area by my mentor, who is very intelligent, that, you know, it takes a while to make a revenue. I started making revenue in year 1. Then I started using that revenue to advance, and I learned a lot about tech. Don't give up on your dreams. Hop on it. Take care.